Yeah, hello, Guy. You've just come back from a tour of the Northwest, I gather. I hope it was easier than the previous tour to Europe.
Yes, it was. Careful attention was paid to my needs with respect to rudimentary personal hygiene and a little bit of downtime to catch up on my own work.
Oh, that's good. So
So
some lessons
it was
learned.
it was a great tour,
Uh,
actually. There were half a dozen, maybe 8 or 10 events over a span of um, just over 2 weeks. So that's a nice leisurely pace. And my message was met with feelings of liberation instead of feelings of fear for the most part.
yeah, or bargaining. I watched one of the videos. I won't mention which one. It sounded as though the audience was bargaining all the way through. What if?
Right.
Yeah,
And I get quite a bit of that, and I understand that because particularly if you're new to the information I present,
yes,
then you think there must be a way. We're
yeah,
clever. We must be able to figure this out.
yeah. Well, I woke up early this morning, and Pam and I, at 3 o'clock this morning, we watched Edward Goldsmith. Been one of the most formative influences in my life on all of these matters. And these recordings were made 25, 30 years ago, and he was saying in this recording, if we don't do anything about it, we'll have extinction within a few decades.
Hmm.
So he had his finger both on the sort of corporate reality, on the nature of corporate power, as well as what was happening, well, to the environment. It was amazing actually to watch someone sort of saying that 25, 30 years ago.
Right. And here we are,
Here we
a
are.
few
Nothing has
a few
been done,
decades
and
later.
yeah, and the further it gets, the worse it gets.
And it's not that we haven't done anything, it's that we've done all the wrong things
Yeah,
in
that's
the
a
intervening period,
yeah,
right? I mean, we just doubled down every
yeah.
decade or two with respect to carbon emissions.
So if we have got an opportunity to do something positive, we double down on the negative.
Right.
That's all that happens.
Yep. We're number one.
Yeah, yeah. And woken up this morning. I mean, oh, nothing's happened in the world. The Chinese stock market's collapsed, and of course we've got Greece continued to be kind of bullied in Europe by a fascist power, and we've got a heat dome over the Arctic. I mean, what else could happen? Nothing's happening.
Well, the New York Stock Exchange was shut down shortly
Yeah, that's
thereafter.
right. No, I forgot
The
about
Wall
that
Street
one.
Journal,
Yes, yes, yes. That's right.
shortly thereafter, the Wall Street Journal, Zero Hedge, and United Airlines were all done too.
Zero hedge as well.
Yeah.
Oh, really? Oh, so
Yeah,
oh,
so
oh,
United Airlines could not fly any of their aircraft.
right. So we take their claims that there's been nothing untoward happening. It's just a glitch. We take that all too seriously.
Right. Well, and it could be that a major power transformer
Yeah,
got shut
yeah,
down or went out of business or something that affected all of those, but the timing is peculiar to say the least.
yes. Well, I've had another one of those peculiar little things happen too. Um, I was selectively shut out of the internet for about a 24-hour period. I couldn't get onto any of the things that were important for me. I could Skype, by the way. That was interesting. So I couldn't get onto anything else that was Google, but I could Skype, and and it did coincide with some sort of outage locally. So one's always left sort of being slightly sort of doubtful, but one suspects there might be other entities coming into play there.
Right. Also, today, about more than 2,500 people in Washington, D.C. were without power, and the subway system in New York City was sending trains and holding them up at stations for very extended periods of time. So, all this is happening at the
It's
same
just
time.
happening more and more and more frequently.
Yes. Well, this is what economic collapse looks
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
is
that's right.
brownouts and then blackouts, an increasing number of blackouts. and on it goes, and power shutdowns, and I mean, we just can't sustain the unsustainable. That
Yeah,
couldn't
that's
be
right.
more obvious, can it?
I was very taken by something that Mimi Gehrman said the other day in her interview with Mike Ferrigan. She said, "I'm just waiting. That's all I'm doing. You know, I don't know when something's going to happen and where it's going to happen, but I know it's going to happen, and I'm just I'm just waiting for something to give." And that's sort of what it's like, really, isn't it? I
Yeah,
mean,
and things keep giving. Most people don't even notice.
yeah, well, that's
They're
right.
real,
There's that happening as well. Of course, it's all happening as as we speak. But then the major event we can just
right.
wait for. Like the next nuclear power station. I think she was probably referring to. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it could be anything. It could be any number of false flags
Yeah, yeah. Or
leading us
yeah,
towards a more
or
overt.
or a jellyfish maybe or
Right.
something. Yeah. Oh
I
well.
mean, we could at any point be engaged in a much more overt form of world war
Yes. Ah.
instead of the relatively hidden World War
Yes.
III that we're in now.
Yeah. I don't think myself that anyone's going to do that consciously, but it'll happen unconsciously. I mean, where everyone's asleep at the wheel. I mean, you've lived through the Cold War where everyone was absolutely. I mean, the whole obsession was nuclear war and preventing it. Now, nobody's interested in preventing nuclear war. I mean, we've still got the same bombs sitting there, and it's even more dangerous than it was at any time during the Cold War.
Right. Yes. And everything's getting worse. Nothing's getting better.
Yeah, yeah,
George Carlin was talking about this 20 years ago.
yeah, yeah, yeah. That's right. And it's
And the
even worse because the All Blacks lost at the rugby yesterday. So that was the major headline last night on Radio New Zealand. So yeah, major
we
tragedy.
know where the priorities are for the
Yeah,
media and the government. So.
yeah, yeah. And what do you? Could I lay a bet with you that we're not going to have melting of the ice cap this this summer? Would you be willing to lay a bet on that, or
I certainly would not.
no? No. I
You
mean,
know,
it could be that we just get away with thin ice and a few other people drought, falling through the ice. Like those explorers.
right. It could be that we don't have an ice-free Arctic this year,
Yeah.
but I certainly wouldn't bet on it. But regardless, it's not far off.
And what do you call an ice-free Arctic? It's kind of like if there's hardly any ice, for a period, but there's some ice. Do you call that ice-free, or?
Right, right. Well, in fact, there are three definitions that are in common parlance. There's volume,
Yes,
there's cover,
yeah,
and there's extent.
extent, yes,
And extent, which my entire life as a field biologist was identical to cover.
yeah,
Extent and cover were the same thing. But the sea ice folks measure those two differently.
yeah.
Um,
And now, of course, even if if the ice does form, it's new ice. The old ice is
mhm.
practically gone, isn't it?
Right. There's some great videos on government websites that indicate the decline of ice cover
Yeah,
since 1979.
yeah,
And you just look at it over time, it's just down, down, down. Yeah, occasionally there's a little
yeah. There's a little
uptick.
blip. Yeah,
And so it could be that we have an uptick
yeah, yeah.
this year. Last I read, we were only for this time of the year at fifth or sixth lowest in history.
Okay.
We're no longer setting a record every week like we were at the beginning of the year.
Yeah, yeah.
So there's actually been some recovery, but it's all very thin ice.
But I mean, the weather has been absolutely amazing. I mean,
Mhm.
like this heat dome Robert Scribner talks about. I mean, it's well, yeah, it's just amazing, and there, I mean, there are sort of records being formed.
Yeah, yes, and there's all those self-reinforcing feedback loops that impact the Arctic.
Yeah,
And I mean, the storms are growing bigger, and the waves are growing bigger, and the amount of of methane is increasing the atmosphere, and all that adds up to exactly the opposite of what Gavin Schmidt claims.
Yeah, and all it would take, would it not, be for, when you've got thin ice like that, is to have an almighty storm up there which would break everything up.
Right, exactly. And it would only take one, an event that lasted a week
Yeah,
to destroy essentially all the ice up there.
yeah,
And those big storms are not going away.
yeah. No, they're certainly not.
I assume you read the article in Esquire this morning.
Oh no, I haven't got to that yet.
Oh, this is a guy, John Richardson. He called me on the phone probably a month ago.
Yeah.
And then yesterday, I told my wife that it looks like he's not going to run that story after all.
Right.
And so then it appears this morning.
Oh wow. Well, I'll have to look out for that. Yeah.
It included only a single short line from me, but he interviews Jason Box. He actually went over to Copenhagen to interview Jason Box.
Yeah.
He interviewed Gavin Schmidt, and Gavin Schmidt clearly reveals himself as a liar.
Yeah, right.
In this interview, it's a really long article, and he interviews all the right people and makes Gavin Schmidt use his own words to point out that he's not telling the truth.
Yeah. Well, that's pretty good. There's nothing like using someone else's own words to.
Right. I mean, he says, I'm going to look for the quote now just to make sure I get this right. So the article is titled, "When the End of Human Civilization is Your Day Job." And Schmidt, I'm going to read from the article, Schmidt, and here we're talking about Gavin Schmidt, the guy who replaced James Hansen at the Goddard Institute for Space Sciences, as part of NASA. Schmidt, who is expecting his first child and tries to live a low-carbon existence. I would editorialize here about his low-carbon existence, how he flies all over the world.
Yeah.
But I won't.
Yeah.
Insists that the hacks and investigations and budget threats have not intimidated him. He also shrugs off the abrupt climate change scenarios. Quote, "The methane thing is actually something I work on a lot, and most of the headlines are crap. There's no actual evidence that anything dramatically different is going on in the Arctic, other than the fact that it's melting pretty much everywhere."
Right. Yeah.
End quote.
Yeah,
he actually says that.
Yeah.
He says, nothing happening here. Well, except all the ice is gone.
Yeah.
And methane is going exponential.
Yeah.
Other than that, there's no problem.
Just a minor point.
Jeez.
Yeah.
Surreal. And Michael Mann is quoted. So it's really a very long, well done article, and it's pretty impressively done, pretty put together. It's for a long article like that, it's hard to maintain the reader's attention span and hold the thread in some sort of consistent way. But he does a great job with it.
Okay. Oh well, I'll have to have a look.
It is, of course, has been posted on my Facebook page a few times already today.
Yeah, I'm sure.
I get a very minor quote.
No, I'm just getting into the day now, so I haven't caught up with that. Right. just the world headlines. Then I get into the other stuff a bit later when I get onto Facebook. Anyway, it's been lovely to catch up, and we'll have to do this again if things ever get less busy.
Yeah, as long as we have the ability to have this conversation.
Yeah, that's right. I was going to talk about some other more important things like me, but I think we'll leave that for another time. Anyway, thank you very much, Guy.